Okay, so we last left off setting up our scene, setting up everything. Really important, right? Because you want to start off on the right foot. And if your scene's not set up correctly, well, then you're just digging a bigger hole for yourself, and you want to get out of that hole. So we've set up our constraints. We've set up, right? Because I can animate this, I can move this up, and I've set my geometry. I'm kind of satisfied with where my camera is. I may have to adjust that when I first make my initial bounces. And um, yeah, so and I've set up everything to where I want them, and everything in between that I'm gonna do as far as polishing the play blast and that exported video, I'll do right before I play blast. So, and again, a reminder if you're wondering uh, what a play blast is, probably because you weren't in class, but that's okay. I'm good. Uh, so the play blast is an exported video. It'll take a video of what you see here on the camera. It's not a render. And we use a lot of play blasts in animation because you want to see how good the animation is before you bring it into um, visual effects and dynamics for that department. So, so that's a way to go ahead prior to adding all those small little details, the lighting and everything. This is a great way to kind of ease on the amount of your file size, but still get the accurate animation for your scene. So, and a lot of animators, when you make an animation reel for your, for your portfolio, they use play blasts all the time. Especially if you're not at a studio yet, there's not this expectation of, unless you're also applying for like a generalist, then there would be. But if you're applying for like a larger studio and you're solely focused on animation, then they would just expect a play blast, maybe some lighting a little bit just to illuminate and showcase your scene a little bit better, but nothing to that extent in drastic measures. So, okay, dissertation done. So what we're going to do, we're going to focus on a layered approach. So, 2 lectures ago, when we talked about the principles of animation, we talked about arcs, talked about exaggeration, all those fun things. The one of those principles is pose to pose, right? And straight ahead animation. But now that we have, Maya, Houdini, uh, 3ds Max, Cinema 4D, all these fun things, we can now animate on just specific channels at a time. And so with that, we're addressing animation in a more layered approach. So while it's not, when you look at your Illusion of Life textbook of animation, it's not so much written in there because a lot of those principles were written by the Nine Old Men and defined, by Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston back when it was just 2D animation and stop motion animation. So more of the traditional forms of animation. So we're going to go through the layered approach. So the first channel that we're going to use is Y, translate, because that's going to mimic the ball bounce, the ball height. It's the easiest one to start off with because it's visually showing you on the graph editor what's going on with the ball. Next, we're going to look at Z, which is the forward movement. And then we're going to look at rotate X. Oh, I meant to. Yeah. Rotate. Okay. Rotate X. I meant to type in translate Z, so you know. Rotation. The roll. All right. Okay. So rotate X is going to be the roll. Uh, Z is going to be the forward movement. And also note that it's going to be negative Z that shows the forward movement. And if you're wondering how the heck do you know, Laura? Well, one, I've been doing this for longer than you've been born, it feels like. And if you look right here, let's see if the pencil will let me show you. Right there, right? Oh, it's not going to show me. Maybe if I turn off my resolution gate. Okay. If you look right, oh, it's just going to stop, aren't you? Okay, there we go. If you look right here, right, this little guy, um, Z, the direction of the actual letter Z here is pointing the positive. And you can kind of see that too with Y because you know Y positive is always up. So Y is pointing upward, Z is pointing to the left, so that's actually positive Z. And this is negative Z. Just FYI. So you're going to see when you look at the Z translate graph editor and that graph line, it's going to go down to show that it's going forward or going to screen right. Okay. And when you get more practice, and I assure you, the more you do this, then the more it's going to be a lot of friction, right? It's going to be a lot of uncertainty and a lot of what the heck am I doing? But the more you do that, the easier it's going to be and the more comfortable you're going to be. You know, they don't make, you know, how you make diamonds. You make them under pressure, right? And so you guys are the diamonds of the season. So let's do that. We're going to work on translate Y. Uh, and let's go. We're going to look for, starting off, we're going to look for all the moments where we make contact with the ground. Why? Because where's the ball right now? It's already on the ground. Oh my gosh, look at that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, frame 6, okay. We're going to look for frame, yep, right there. Frame 31, S. Next one, frame 52. Next one, frame and 69. And again, if you don't want to use the basketball or this reference, if you want to film your own reference, by all means, go do it. Um, you just want it to let it bounce in one direction and let it go from left to right or screen right to left, right? Okay, next one we're going to do, look for the next bounce. Ding. Or if you want to use, sorry, another tangent, if you want to use a different ball, anything but a bowling ball, one for injury's sake, and then two for the amount of bounces you get from that. It's not going to be enough to meet the time requirements. So ping pong, beach ball, um, soccer ball works really well too. Okay, so next one, next ball bounce and contact with the ground is going to be, mm, we'll do 83. I think I've done 82 in class, but that's okay. We're going to go down to next set of frames. Yeah, for sure 94. And if your range of frames are going only to 100 and you're trying to meet the time requirements, if you type in here a larger amount, don't go like 500, maybe like 120 to get close to another second. Right here, you're increasing your total, and that should help you there. Down here where my mouse is, you'll type in the number. And here, I'm going to go to the next one. I'll press S at 104, 111, press S. Oh, here we go. Don't do that. Make sure you're on the keyframe. Try it again, 104, 111, S, 118. Um, I'll add more frames. So let's go 140. I'll go to the next one. 124. I'll press S. Um, and then 130. And you should notice, look at this, from frame 6 to frame 31, from 31 to 52, from 52 to 69, and you should visually see it here, right? Looking at these red tick marks for the keyframes. They're little by little decreasing in the number of frames. So as each bounce continues, the timing decreases. As well as what else decreases? The spacing, right? Because we're losing momentum, right? We're losing energy because of how the floor is acting on the ball and how um, gravity is acting on the ball as well. And so with each bounce, we're losing energy. And so the ball bounce and the actual spacing decreases. I know, it's like, what the heck did I sign up for? Physics, science class? Hashtag STEAM, everyone. Hashtag STEAM. So we'll go to the next one, right? We'll do 32. 132. And then 136. Let me adjust this one. Yeah, okay. I think 136 is a good, right? We're getting those micro bounces, and that's looking good. All right, so now I'm not going to start with the first frame. Reason being is because I need to adjust based off of what the first bounce is. So I'm actually going to start with the first bounce. So I'm going to start with the first bounce, and I'm going to go to where the peak is in my reference image. So let's look for that. It's getting higher. It's getting a little right around here. So it's going to be at frame 18. So I'm going to make this the highest bounce. All right. And we can also look at, well, I'll press S, but we can also look at what's the height of this ball bounce. So we go, let's mark some ticks here. So we have 1, about 2, 3. Okay, so it's about 3 and 2/3. Yeah. 3 and 2/3. So let's look at what we did here. I kind of just eyeballed it, but so I can go 1. So I might need to make this higher, right? 2, and then 3. So that should be a little lower. And then 2/3. So it'd be right around here, actually. So I might lower this a little bit. So a few things I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it down just a notch. Right, 1, 1, 2, 3, right, and then 2/3 here. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. Had to do that math. All right. So I'll press S on this new value. I might zoom in my camera a little bit. All right. And I'm going to clear the drawings. Okay. 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 So, all right. So I pressed S. I've done the first ball bounce. And now I can add some height to the next one. I'll make this go off screen. So I'll press S. This goes up, hits the next one, and now let's look for the next peak. And let's also mark, like I did last time. Let's mark where these are. So that's the first bounce. That's my first bounce. And then let's go to the next one. It hits the floor. And now let's look for the peak. Okay, right at 42. And it's about one ball, right? Height, sort of. Might be a little less. So we'll bring this up. I'll press S to set the keyframe. Go here, kind of compare. And maybe just to get more accurate, I'll just mark where the height is, right there. And then where, yeah, so it's pretty solid. So next I'm going to go to next ball bounce. It makes contact with the ground. And then makes the next peak about the same. A little bit more overlap, but about the same. Like now the bottom of the ball from the first bounce to the top of the ball of the next bounce is going to kind of intersect. So, um, so let's go. Actually, I might make the. So that's the bottom, and now the next one's gonna go right around here. Press S, hits the ground, draw a little circle. Go to the next one. And now it's about halfway into the placement of where the last ball bounces. So I'm going to bring this up. Draw a circle to mark where everything is. And you can kind of see too, again, this drop is very much like an arc, right? It's not a straight line that we would really think it to be. So with this control selected, press S once you make the adjustments of the height. Bring it to the next ball bounce. Oh, let me mark where this is. Okay, next ball bounce past the keyframe on 83, and we're going to go to, let's do frame 88. Yeah. So again, now it's about into two-thirds of the height of the last bounce. So bring this up, right on there, press S. I'm going to note where this is before. And then the next bounce. So right around here. I'm going to bring this up, press S, and again I'm going to mark this. Same thing. .107. Press S. Next one. Oh, I didn't mark. Let's mark that. Then the next bounce, after frame 110, let's go to frame 114. Press S. And I'll mark this as well, even though now we're getting to some micro bounces here. Okay, next one. We're going to move to the next bounce at frame 121. A slight movement. Press S. Press S. And now I'm just going to go in between these frames because there's only like 3 frames, so you just make a slight movement. And I'll adjust these in the graph editor afterwards. Bring this up. Okay. Up and then up. All right. We're done. Okay. Let's see how this looks. I'm going to press play. Okay. Okay. So notice that it's doing this weird of slowing down as it's reaching the um, floor, which is not how gravity works. So as and you can see it right in the first bounce, it should be shooting up, right? That's where the biggest spacing is going to be. And then as it's the closest spacing is going to be at the peaks, right? Because gravity, it's taking time for for gravity to act on the ball, so the spacing decreases, so it's not moving as much at the peaks. And then notice the spacing is getting larger, but here in the animation it's getting smaller. And then right here at frame 29, right, the spacing is pretty large here. And here, right after the bounce, it shoots off, right? That spacing is the largest from when it makes contact with the ground. So let's now switch our workspace. Let's go to animation. I'm going to hide this. For some reason, I don't need the content browser. And also, I want my orthographic camera. I'm going to go to the side camera that I was animating on. And now, let's open up the graph editor. Ah, all right. So a couple things. I'm just going to go ahead and delete Translate X in my graph editor. Oh, did I delete everything? I think I did. Whoops, let me not do that. Let's Let's undo that. I meant to let's select the keyframes. That's what I meant to do. Let's delete all that. We need Translate Y and Translate Z, but I'm going to select all of these keyframes that I'm not using. So rotate Y, rotate Z, scale X, scale Y, scale Z. It's just actually these two. I'm going to delete them. All right. I'm also going to hide this to make what I'm seeing a little bit better. It's hard here. Might turn off my... No, that makes it worse. Okay, we're going to have to make do here. Yeah, sorry guys. Oh no. Okay, let's pause the recording. Okay, take 2. Here we go. Okay, so let's go. So I'm going to make some adjustments. So I've deleted those channels I wasn't using. And I'm just going to make some adjustments on the bottom keyframes. First one being uh, that notice that the handles, right, when I move one handle for the keyframe, it adjusts the ease in and ease out. But notice when I adjust one handle, the other follows. So I'm not able to make those rainbows that I want to see within the ball bounce. So to do that, I need to adjust and break the tangents. So I'm going to break the handles. So I'm just selecting the bottom keyframes here. So every other keyframe basically. All right. Hold down my right mouse button in my graph editor and I'm going to click on break tangents. All right. So now, brace yourself. What? And so the goal is to make, again, like I said before, you know, these little rainbows in the graph editor. See if it'll let me. There we go. What I just did was I selected that keyframe and I pressed F to frame that keyframe. So whatever you select and press F, it'll just kind of center that. And I like using that when I have a lot of keyframes expanded for a long duration of time. And again, same thing, Alt middle mouse drag will pan. Oops. And Alt zoom, Alt left, Alt right mouse will zoom in and zoom out. So the only thing you can't do is you can't rotate because it's a 2D view of this window. So I don't want these a little, too far out because then you'll get these uh, um, what's the word? Plateaus. It's not because these handles are so big. I'm not able to just select the handles that I want. Let's select these. I'm going to just frame it. I think that's why I got to frame these to select them. Move this. If I want to adjust a keyframe, I could do it a few ways. With this keyframe selected, I'll see the stats of that keyframe. I'll see the values, which is the right input, the 0.133. On the left-hand side, I have the frame number that's on. I kind of want to adjust this by one frame, so I'll just type in 127. You could also move the keyframes, but you'd have to hold Shift and move it slightly up and down to adjust the value. Or if you need to move it across the time, I'm going to delete this one. Um, if you need to move it across time, then you need to hold Shift and slightly move it to the left and to the right. So you'll notice here, I kind of do have a few bounces that are a little higher than the previous one. So I'm going to adjust that and bring this down. I'll bring this one down too. Might bring this one a little higher. And so again, when you do make these changes, it's not the first time you edit is going to be the one time you get it right. It's not how that works. You guys know that. It's the same thing as modeling. You have to adjust, make those changes. Okay. Select this. There we go. To just select the one keyframe here. This one too. And I'm going to just adjust. select this one keyframe. Oh my gosh. Let me just see how this looks. There we go. Okay. All right, this looks kind of like how I want it to look. So I'm going to deselect the graph editor and see how this looks to play. It's looking a lot better, but it also my RAM is kind of slowing down. So just for time's sake, it should look good. And what I'll do is I'll do a play blast. So I'll hold down my right mouse button. I'll click on the option box. Hold down my right mouse. Click on the rewind. Click with your right mouse button. Click on the option box for play blast. And then I'm on a Mac, so mine is going to be automatically H.264. If you're on a PC, you can try none or go through the list of encoding options. It really varies by your computer type. I'm going to click on Custom, 1920 by 1080. Go all the way to one, scale to 1. Make sure Save to File is checked on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make this 01, and I'll hit Play Blast. It should play better in my computer. Hopefully it does with QuickTime. Yeah, see? Yeah. So I like how that's looking, so I'm going to continue on. I'm going to click on Graph Editor, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to work on Translate Z. So like I said before, Translate Z is going to go downward. So I'm going to delete the ones in the middle and leave the first and last keyframes for Translate Z's. And remember to isolate the one channel that you want to work on. You got to select it on the left hand side of the graph editor. So now I'm going to go to frame 1. Actually, I'm going to go around frame 2. I'm going to grab the this keyframe, and I'm going to bring it up. I have to zoom out, go a little higher. Basically saying, where do I want that first bounce to be? So I want to kind of go as far screen left as I can. So I'll go right around here. I'm also going to drag my handle and align it with my tangent, because here the spacing is going to be pretty consistent. The only thing that's going to slow down is towards the end. So see, it's not moving far right enough. So what I'm going to do, select this keyframe and bring it down the graph editor. So like I said before, Translate Z is going to go to the negative value. I might bring this off screen so that way we don't have to worry about how it's looking. And again, I'm going to adjust the first handle so then it looks more like this little scoop, right? A little more linear, and then it'll slow down, right, with this little arc here. Okay. Maybe bring it down a little bit further. Yeah. Okay, let's see how this looks. I'm gonna turn this off, or deselect the graph editor and see how this looks. Oh, it's actually moving a little too much. Okay. I'm gonna adjust that. Let's go back to the graph editor. Okay, I moved it a little too high. Take 2. Let's try that. Press play. Okay, let's go back. Okay, we're gonna go a little lower. Right there. Okay, let's see how that looks. All right, take three. Do, 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 do. Let's press play. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it's slowing down because of my RAM. That's okay. All right, so I'm gonna pause the recording one more time. Okay, so I went ahead and did another play blast just so you can see this. Do, 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 do. I think the final bounces could be a little bit faster. Um, I'm not going to be too nitpicky because this is just a tutorial and just to kind of go through and make a simple, smooth ball bounce. And then let's go. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a roll. And you're wondering, well, Laura, how can I tell that there's a roll going on? I'm so glad you asked. I know that's the burning question of your hearts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new shader to this ball. So I'm going to hold down my right mouse button. If you aren't able to select it, chances are it's because geometry is not made selectable. So you can turn it on for 1 second. Hold down your right mouse button. Assign new material. I'm just going to keep it as a Lambert. And with Lambert 2, what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the checker box for color, and that's going to create a new node attached to color. And what I'm going to do is just going to select checker. And then I'm going to close this attribute editor. And if you can't see it, turn on your checkered preview or your texture preview, and it should show you the checkerboard. All right, there we go. So now what we're going to do, we're going to start with some rolls. So let's go back to the graph editor. Graph editor is going to do the same thing. The roll, oh, let me select the control. Let's try that again. I'm also going to deselect, make the geometry selectable. There we go. And now I'm going to isolate roll. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete the first, everything in between the first and last keyframes. And delete. And now, I'm going to zoom out, because I'm going to have to zoom. And what I'm going to do is just select the last keyframe, and I'm going to see how, I think it's going to be negative. Let me look at this. Yeah. So we're going to go and type in, with this last keyframe selected, just to see the value, negative 360. Because that is one revolution. All right. So let's take a look and see how this looks. Again, it's going to be a little slow, so I'm going to have to guess how this is looking. It's not too bad, actually, with one roll. I might have to make it a little more, and then also, same thing that I did with translate, kind of make it a little linear at the start, and then it'll slow down. So with rotate X, let's isolate that. I'm going to make it a little more roll, so we're going to go maybe like 4, maybe 540, right? I don't know what I typed. Let me just type it in just to see it. See where it is. Oh, negative 540. Sorry, negative 540, everyone. Negative 540. Okay, and then I'm going to take this keyframe and the handle. I'm just going to adjust it a little bit here. All right, let's see how this looks. Okay, deselect the graph editor. All right. That's pretty good, actually. Okay. I think my one critique goes a little much. Let's slow it down. And what I really want to do is I want this to stay linear for as long as possible and then slow down. So what I like to do, I know a lot of animators don't like using, the older animators don't like using it, is to make these weighted tangents. So what weighted tangents does is it allows the handle to scale in and out, but I like it. It's just a lot easier than adding another keyframe. So I'm going to hold down my right mouse button with the last keyframe selected, and I'm going to click on weighted tangents. I think it's actually going to do it for all of them. That's okay. I'm just going to scale this out a little bit. Scale this in. There we go. I think this is the thing that this really helps more. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. See how this looks. Dee, 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 dee. Yeah, look at that. What? 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 Okay. So, now, I'm going to increment and save first off. And then I'm going to, oh no, oh, okay. I'm going to clean up my space here. So first things first, I'm going to turn on my resolution gate if it will do that. That'd be great. Okay, it is on. And then I'm going to hide things. So I'm going to click on show above my camera, and I'm going to click on, I'm going to hide my NURBS curves, which are the controls. I'm going to hide my image plane down here, up here, sorry, up at top. I'm also going to hide the blue pencil. So if I go to show, towards the bottom, right under clip ghosts, hide that. And I also like to hide the grid, uh, just for, yeah. Keep the resolution gate on because what will happen is, oh wait, no, lies. I'm going to turn off my resolution gate. Turn it off. All right. It will it will make the play blast within what I framed within the mask. Uh, it just it will full screen this and make it even larger, which is great. The other thing I'm going to do under display, I'm going to show under heads up display, I'm going to click on and check on current frame. And now I'm ready for my final play blast. So I'm going to right click on the timeline, option box for play blast, keep it custom 1920 by 1080, save to files, and then this will be 03. So you can see the iterations. I'll hit play blast. It's going to do its thing. And notice that it'll show me the current frame, so that way it makes it easier to give critiques, which is great. And notice now this, because I turned off my gate, and I didn't adjust my camera, but it still shows the full screen. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Do, 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 do. Ah, okay. So that's it. So save your scene, increment and save, all that fun stuff, and upload the folder to my, you'll see also the, your Play Blast, they're actually going to be saved under movies. So make sure as you're saving that it is doing that. Because if you set your project folder correctly, it should be doing that automatically. So yeah, so now this is one, right? Look at this. Work in progress. Two. Alright. Then there's two. I could have let it slide a little bit longer, but since I know it's off screen, it's fine. And then there's three. You don't need to have multiple You don't need to have multiple play blasts. I do it so you can see the work in progress. I recommend it so you always have something in case, stuff hits the fan, that you always have something to turn in, right? Um, Work in progresses are beneficial for that alone. And also to kind of see your progress and see where if it's heading in the right direction. So I'm going to stop the recording. I'll see you all next week. Take care. Good day.